We're gonna go fast, 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 because it's hot, and I opened the shade a little, so there's actual natural light in this room, and I don't know which looks worse, me or the room itself, but we'll just run with this. Marvel? Yeah, Captain Marvel is coming up, Marvel Universe. How they're like bragging about how this is the most powerful character in the Marvel Universe, so in the MCU so far, and I'm like a little leery because of the Superman problem. I'm concerned that Captain Marvel might share some of the problems you have with Superman, and something that recently happened. I was explaining to someone all this ties together. It's all complicated, but I guess it's life. It kind of came up earlier that the video game Injustice, and more specifically Injustice 2, had like on just one alternate path in the story mode, had this little line that fixes, in my mind, fixes Superman, solves the Superman problem forever. Just boom. And I was so impressed with that I wanted to talk about it a little bit, simply because it might tie into Captain Marvel, and we'll see how things turn out. But this requires a little bit of backstory. So just going through this briefly. Superman problem is this. Superman started out as a powerful but reasonable character, God, forever ago, over something like a century almost, at the very dawn of comics. And the thing is, originally Superman could, run faster than a speeding bullet. He was powerful as a locomotive, could leap tall buildings in a single bound, but he couldn't actually fly. It was just over time he experienced a great deal of power creep. The things he could do just kept getting more and more impressive. All comic book characters have experienced that, especially ones that have been around for a long-ass time. They just get more and more powerful, like someone writes themselves into a corner, and it's like, oh, he can just do this and this thing. Oh, he's dead, but now he's come back more powerful than ever, and now he's powerful enough to defeat the guy who killed him in the first place, and blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on. The problem is Superman has been around so long, and his powers are so simple, that when he's invulnerable, he's very difficult to hurt, incredibly strong, incredibly fast. He's not a dumb guy. He's actually often depicted as a very smart guy, can see through things, laser eyes, he can freeze stuff with his breath, and so on, and now can fly. Incredibly fast. That is a big power set of pretty simple but incredibly high utility abilities. Add to that power creep, and he just becomes so powerful nothing can fight him. And the thing about any story with a hero, let alone a superhero, is that you have to have some sort of challenge for him, some adversary to face off against. The problem is he's so potent that unless they have kryptonite, and you have to have the magic rock every single time, or else how do they defeat him? How does Lex Luthor fight Superman these days? I think magic was listed as a vulnerability, but not a vulnerability. It's just he's as vulnerable to it as a normal dude. God. And it's just, and that's it. He just keeps getting more powerful. Well, the problem is, how do you write a conflict about that? How? That is kind of the crux of it, the Superman problem. It's like, how do you write a story, a superhero story, which is, hero meets great challenges, for someone who has godlike power? It's so funny. When I was looking for images in the title card, I wanted to mention Injustice 2, but also I was like, I need something to explain what is the picture of a Superman problem. So I actually liked, the problem is that if he isn't handled well, he comes across as bland, unrelatable, and uninteresting. Like, sheer power doesn't make someone interesting. And so I'm like doing an image search, and the first thing that comes up is Batman versus Superman movie, and I'm like, that'll do, because yeah. So what the hell is Injustice and Injustice 2, and why does that fix it? So next, what is Injustice? Injustice was a fight game like Mortal Kombat, where you have, you know, two characters on either side of the screen fight, and they fight each other using insane, crazy moves and increasingly ridiculous finishers and combos and what have you, and mortality, whatever. Fight game. What was interesting about Injustice is that the storyline, it had a really good story. It had an incredibly good story. It was the first one to fix the Superman problem in my mind, because the very first thing it does is Injustice is the Super Friends, whatever, get pulled into an alternate universe. In alternate universe, the Joker poisons Superman. Superman runs amok. He sees everyone as the Joker and keeps killing the Joker, but he's actually just killing innocent bystanders up to and including pregnant Lois Lane. So Superman fucking snaps, and he just starts engaging in total justice, where he no more nice guy. He's just finding bad guys and killing them. And when people are resisting him, world governments, other superheroes, he's just taken over. In other words, Injustice fixed the Superman problem by making Superman a villain, and he's a fantastic villain. He really is, because he's someone who believes strong moral values, but he's come to this place where the ends justify the means, and he's incredibly powerful. He's everything you want in a villain. He is a perfect villain, I would say. Injustice 2 has this line, and I'm going to see if I can get a clip of it. It's a real short, it's like 30 seconds long.
Cal!
I can't forgive you so easily this time, Kara.
There's still hope, Cal. I know you're afraid, for everybody. Ever since you lost Lois.
I used to be afraid. Afraid my powers would make people fear me. Afraid who I'd hurt if I wasn't careful every second of every day. I spent my whole life holding back. My fear cost me Lois. That's why I don't hold back anymore.
Supergirl does this thing where she's like, you don't have to be afraid anymore. And she's like, no, I'm not afraid of anything. I used to be afraid constantly. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. So it's basically comparing Superman, what's in his head, post and prior to him becoming the thing he's become. And he mentioned, and the implication here is, from his little speech, that he used to be afraid all the time. When he was the most powerful man in the entire world, he was constantly afraid. Like, he was afraid people would find out who he was. He was afraid that he would push too hard and hurt or kill someone accidentally. He was afraid that he wouldn't push hard enough and someone would get killed due to him not, he was holding back his whole life. And it's like, that's perfect. That is perfect for Superman, because it humanizes him. We can empathize with someone being afraid like that, being afraid of their own power, capability, of failure, of being discovered, of losing touch with the rest of humanity. It's like that's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. I've never seen anything like that depicted in any other media with Superman. The Zack Snyder Batman v Superman and the Superman movies, and I guess the Justice League, tried to make him more dour. Like, tried to explain the Superman problem with he's filled with ennui or some sort of great burden, and that's the humanizing limitation, which he needs badly. The character really does. But it doesn't work. Zack Snyder's version just doesn't work at all. It makes him seem... It removes his motivation and just makes him seem like a sour, crass, unhappy dude who's helping people for no explicable reason. It's really strange. But Injustice 2, like, if someone were able to translate that line, that insight from that just one little line from the Injustice 2 video game, and it's only on one path. There's like a couple places where there's one place in particular where the game branches. It's only on one tree. You only find it on, I think, the Superman path. And it's like, that's so interesting. Yeah, and how would you do that? How would you explore that? You would have I guess, a normal Superman movie where he's just being Superman, where he's fighting villains, but that's not the important part. The important part is you constantly see from his point of view him getting really close to almost hurting someone, or him getting really close to almost failing to save someone, or having him getting really close to getting caught. Like, I mean, you can create so much tension, even though he's not in physical danger, he's in a sort of like a social danger, like an emotional danger. The risk is there and it's real, but it's not physical harm. He's fucking Superman. He's not concerned about physical stuff because he's fucking Superman. And it's like, that's fascinating. That is a really interesting take on Superman. I wish they would explore that more. That's all I've got for this. It was really, stuff kind of lined up, and I wanted to talk about that, articulate that a little. And like I said, I'm concerned about Captain Marvel. Like, they could easily run into the exact same problem. If the character doesn't have relatable vulnerabilities, oh god, in my head, I'm thinking the first thing that pops into my head after saying that is Rey from Star Wars, from the new Star Wars movie. If the character can just do everything, if it's not handled well, a powerful character is boring, and that is worse than anything. That is the worst thing a character can do, especially a title character. But we'll see how that turns out. I think that's it. I'm out.